Howdy folks. Today we're going to take a look at GitHub Pages and React. React is a very popular web framework. GitHub Pages is a very convenient way to push our code and just have it show up on the front end. React websites can be built where there's no backend, right? So why not use GitHub Pages for it? Let's get started. So first off, we'll take a look at our app here. We've got it. This is basically, I just used create React app to create an app. We've got our package JSON called my cool site because it is a cool site. We've got our scripts. We've got our dependencies, all the basic stuff that you'd have. We've got our app. Here's what it looks like. This is my cool site. I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice cool color. I mean, it's just the create React app color, but with some different text. So let's see what we got here. I come over here, I've pushed this up to GitHub, okay, and let's go and set up our GitHub pages. So we're going to go to settings, pages, say okay, deploy from a branch. We're going to set our main branch. Now here's where we start running into a problem. GitHub Pages expects an index.html to be at the root. Well, if I look at my root, I do not have an index.html. That becomes a bit of a problem. Because the way this works, let's say I run, I build it, okay, it's generating a build, it puts everything into build, and there should be at some point, there it is, there's the index.html, and here's my static stuff. I could take this build file and I could move all these files to the top level here. That would work. That's a bit of a pain though, because then every time I rebuild, I have to recommit those files. They're cluttering up my main. I like keeping them in build here. GitHub Pages does not let you select the build folder here. So what do? If we actually run this, we say, okay, save this. Let's take a look at our actions. It's doing its build. All right, now that that's deployed, we can come back here, go to our deployments, and open it up. And it's like, hey, this page is bootstrapped with create React app. Cool. That's not really what I want. What is this even? Well, if I look here, this is actually the README file. So that is what GitHub Pages defaults to when it can't find index.html. It just defaults to your README. This is not my cool site. Luckily, there is a package that has been created to help with this. And what you could do is you could actually pull all these files to the top level, but that makes everything terrible. So instead, we can use the GH-Pages package. So npm install, save, GH-Pages. GH-Pages, just like that. We install that. And now, we can add a couple things. So to run this, we're basically just going to say, okay, there's GH Pages and our dependencies. We want to put a script. And we want, generally what you want to call your script is deploy, because this is the script that actually deploys your application. GH Pages. Now, by default, this will actually look for the build directory. If you are using Vite, Vite sends things to a dist directory by default. So if you have that, you can actually pass the -d option and then the name or the path name to where your build is. So for Vite, you would just say dist. But because it looks for build by default, I'm just going to leave it here. Now, at this point, I need to run my build, then I need to do my deploy. I kind of would like it if I did my deploy that it built for me. Well, npm has this nice thing. I can say pre-deploy. Now, this is a command that automatically runs before the deploy command. And if I say npm run build, okay, so deploy, pre-deploy. Now let's make this a little bit bigger here. And I'm going to say npm run deploy. And you see the first thing it does is it runs the pre-deploy command, which runs npm run build. So this is how you just have one command that sets up all the things that you need. Oh, okay, apparently the D option is required, so I'm just going to put that in build. Goes to the build. I thought it was optional. And now it's going to start deploying GitHub Pages. And we'll see what that does in a minute. All right, published. If you've got a more complicated setup or something else is wrong, it may take some time. Nothing changed, right? I don't see anything different. Well, let's go back to our repository. And now you can see there's a new branch here, GH Pages. GH Pages had recent pushes to it less than a minute ago. Do not do a pull request against this. You do not want to merge this branch into your main branch, and I'll show you why. So here we've got, if we look at our main branch, we've got public, source, get, ignore, readme, package.json, all that stuff. This is what GH Pages looks like. This is actually the contents of the build folder. So what the GH Pages plugin does is it's not super complicated. It just makes a new branch and puts your build at the top level. Now GitHub Pages has no problem working with this because look, it can find the index.html immediately. Static, all that stuff. Okay, pretty cool. Now we can go into settings, pages, and we can change, make sure you're on pages. Don't change this branch. This branch is fine. But you want to go to pages and change this branch to be the GH Pages branch. It's still going to go from root, but that's fine because now there is an index.html at that root. Save that. All right, let's go to actions and let's wait for it to deploy. All right, now that that's done, that second build, we'll go back to code, go to our deployments here. There might be another way to get to this. Now you can see it came from that GH Pages build. Huh? But it's still this. And now it's broken. So what I did there is I held down Shift key and clicked the refresh. Sometimes your previous page will still be cached. So if you still see your old stuff, just hold down there. If you right click, oops. Oh, where is it? There's a way to get it to show up, but this is called a hard reload. So basically you hold down Shift, you click this, it hard reloads the page, which means it will not cache it. But now we see our page is empty. Well, let's check out our console log. Our console log said, hey, I failed to load all these resources. That's not great. Those are important resources. That's our JavaScript. That's our CSS. We need those. So let's go to the network tab and reload this just so we get them back. And let's see what the problem is. 404. That's strange. Well, if we look back at our code, we go to GH Pages. Let's look in our static, our JS. I mean, that looks like that's there, right? Yeah, looks like the same number. Well, let's check out the path name. Now here's the issue. This is trying to go to bucky24.github.io/static.js main. Notice all of my files are actually bucky24.github.io/mycoolsite. So if I try to open this in a new tab, it doesn't exist, but if I put my cool site here, it does. So this my cool site part isn't really important. The issue is when Webpack is building this, it's building them in such a way that it's not taking that into account. So let's go back to our code and take a look at our built HTML. I know it's going to be a little hard to see, but I want to show you. Here's where that's coming in. This is an issue because that slash right there, when the browser sees a relative path starting with a slash, the slash tells it that's not actually a relative path. It should go all the way back to the beginning. So really what's happening here is the browser is seeing this path name, that slash, and it's saying, oh, I can just disregard the my cool site part of this. Don't need it. Just throw it away. Throw it away completely and go all the way back to the root, the Bucky24 GitHub IO. Now, obviously, that's a problem. We need that my cool site to stay in there. How do we do that? Well, it turns out there is actually a property on Webpack to work with that. And that is called a homepage. So let's go up here. And I'm going to add a homepage. And then for the homepage, you give it the URL of the page you're deploying. Okay, so I'm going to give it this whole URL here. Just paste that in there. With that, Webpack can now make intelligent decisions about how it loads files because it knows how you're going to be displaying them, how you're loading the page. All right. So, and with Vite, it has a similar property. I believe it might also be homepage. If you're using Webpack without Create React App, I think it's something else. I don't remember exactly what it is off the top, but if you're running to that, just leave a comment down below and I'll look it up for you. So let's deploy that again. So I've made changes there. Now when it's doing this build, it should hopefully build it a little differently. And let's take a look. So now you can see it added that My Cool site in there because it recognizes, okay, we're going to need this. The site's not going to work. All right. Now because of that deploy, if I go back to here, we have another deployment, another build going. We'll just wait for that to finish. All right. Now that that's done, I'm just going to come back here, reload this. And it works. Something to bear in mind is when you have the developer tools open like this, it bypasses the cache by default. And so now you can see it is loading from the correct place. Also, I looked it up briefly. Vite actually uses a property called base. It is not called homepage. So just in case you're using Vite. And that's pretty much it. 2 things you have to do. Install GitHub Pages, add the deploy command in here, add your pre-deploy command in here, and then make sure you set up your home page to, and honestly you can actually have it something like this as well. That would be totally fine, but it doesn't hurt to put the full thing in here so that Webpack understands what you're doing. I hope this is helpful. I'll see y'all next time.